Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the best tabletop gaming experience possible. My name is Gabe.
And my name is Jeff.
And we're going to answer your questions today. But first, I have a question. Jeff.
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How about you, Gabe?
I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to in that question because there's a lot going on, some of which I might get into, some of which I won't.
Well, do we want to mention your birthday?
Oh, in that direction, yes. So as we're recording this, we're actually recording this a little differently than our normal record date. But in about 3 hours after we record this, it is going to be my birthday.
Woo!
It's been a long time since I've had an actual birthday party.
Yeah.
So as a result, I'm having a birthday party. Not on my birthday, because I actually have to work on my birthday.
Go.
I could have taken the day off, but I would have booted somebody else out. I could have thrown my seniority around.
Sure.
It's not that important, so,
Right.
so I didn't do it.
But
the day, on Sunday, the day after so my first day off this weekend, I'm having a party. So I'm having a bunch of people over. I'm really excited about it.
Nice.
So
I wasn't invited. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, you didn't accept the invitation.
Did
for
I
a long
not?
time.
Hold on.
I mean, you have now, but you didn't until yesterday or something.
Oh, okay. I usually Facebook event invites. I'm like, oh, cool, and then I don't hit anything.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Because there is always the chance, well, maybe I won't want to go last minute or something like that. I mean, this obviously isn't one of those times, but it's just there. I just have that reaction of an invite. I'm like, okay, I've been invited. All right, I'll give it. We'll see when it gets closer to the event, and then I'll probably just show up anyway or something.
And I'm the kind of person that I invite everyone.
Yeah.
I invited about 100 people to this one.
Oh my
I only
goodness.
Expected about 10 to respond.
Right.
About 10 have responded. So
Skylar did a similar thing for her birthday party for next month, and because we've been doing a sort of games night sort of thing, and she invited 70 people, and I'm like, hun, we cannot fit 70 people in our place, and she's like, well, yeah, but not. No, there's maybe gonna be
nobody's gonna, not that many people are gonna come.
Although, it started getting up there, it's because I think the most we've had in a party, at that place is around 20 people.
Okay,
and it's above 20 at this point that have said they're going. Which maybe about a quarter of them won't actually go, even though they said they're going, because things happen, whatever. Yeah. And we've always stated when it comes to our parties that if you don't want to show up, don't feel bad at all, because we hate going outside. We get it. Staying home and doing nothing is the best.
Yes. I have a friend, one of my coworkers, that he wanted to come. He actually said he was going to come, but then he was going to go to, there was a concert that he was supposed to go to 2 weeks ago that ended up getting rescheduled for the day of my party.
Oh.
And so, hey, I understand. I'm still going to give him a hard time about it, but I totally understand. I would do the same thing. Especially if I didn't like the person whose party I was going to. The most people I can ever remember having at a party that I threw was at my engagement party. I want to say we had probably 30 or 40 people in my parents' house, which is smaller than my house. And there were so many people that I had to squeeze through a crowd of people just to get to see all of the people that came by. So I peaked 11 years ago. So one fun thing that I'm actually going to do at this party that I think is a really cool idea that maybe our listeners will be interested to hear.
Sure.
I was thinking it took me a while to come up with this way to brand it, but I was thinking of having an audio guest book.
Sure.
So what that means is everybody that comes to the party, I have to be able to steal them away for 5 minutes. They have to sit down in front of a mic with me for 5 minutes. And they just have to talk to me for 5 minutes. Originally, the very first idea I had was everybody has to tell me a story.
Right.
Because I remember at my, another wedding related thing, at my bachelor party, which was not salacious, don't worry. We went to a bar where people played pianos, and then we played D&D. Right. That's what we did for my bachelor party. But my brother Ted, I remember I thought it was just the neatest thing. He would just go up to people that were part of our group that he had never met before. And he would say, hey, give me a topic. And then they would, I don't know, say video games or magic or cheesecake or something. And then he would take a moment. He would think about something in his life that relates to that in some way. And then he would tell them a story that has to do with the topic that came up with.
Okay.
And I thought, like, that's such a interesting idea. Like, I loved that he did that. I didn't ask him to do that. He just did it.
Right.
And so I thought, that'd be cool if I could get stories from everybody. Could be a true story. Could be a
Which is like
something they made up. Could be like a long joke.
Yeah.
Whatever. I just wanted people to sit down and talk to me. Then again, I don't know if everybody has a good story or even is good at telling stories.
Sure.
So I've the way I am now describing it as is I would love to just get a little slice of all my friends' lives and then be able to listen to it if I wanted to.
Yeah.
At some point I was thinking if a lot of people tell me like D&D related stuff or talk to me about tabletop RPG related stuff, maybe I could make that into one of our episodes or something.
Sure.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
If in a couple weeks I come out with an episode that's exactly that, don't be surprised.
Right.
I guess is what I'm saying. So yeah,
cool.
I'm really excited about that party. I think it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun.
Yeah,
it'd be good.
All right, so Jeff, I want you to imagine that it's not your birthday, it's somebody's birthday.
Okay.
So you're at a friend's party.
I'll stretch my imagination here.
You're at a friend's party, and you guys have, I don't know, you've blown out the candle. Well, your friend has blown out the candles on the cake, and they are opening presents. And one of the presents, your friend lifts up and sort of shakes and is like, it feels really, really light.
Huh.
What's that about? And so, you're looking around, you're curious as to who brought that present. You have an idea who brought it. You think it's that 30-foot tall individual over in the corner with the scaly skin and tail and breathes fire.
Sure.
But anyway.
Who invited him? I don't know.
Who knows? It's just the neighbor. The neighbor came over.
Right, yeah.
So your friend goes to open this present and then gets this puzzled look on their face. And inside is just a note. But like it's in a language they don't recognize, but they know you speak Draconic.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So they hand it to you and they say, "Hey Jeff, what does this say?"
Yeah, I have a minor in Draconic.
There you go. Give me a decipher script isn't a skill for good reason. Give me an intelligence check. In a way that the dice tower does not drop the die in a place you can't see it.
Come on.
Okay.
We'll go with that.
Sure. So that's a 12.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, it's pretty simple to translate. But you look at it and it says your actual present is not here. Do you know where it is, Jeff?
Oh, I have a guess.
Where's that?
The Dragon's Hoard.
Today's Dragon's Hoard item was submitted by Debrasor via Discord, and the item is the Mind Mugger Mitts. There's it's sort of like there's a little image here, and the text is on the image.
So they're like kind of purplish gloves, but they're fingerless except for it would be your ring finger and your middle finger.
Yeah, and then what is on those though?
Yeah, is etched on the back of them. Is little mind flayers.
Yeah, it's like the head of an elithid, and then two of the tentacles are going down the middle and ring fingers.
Yeah,
so it's got definitely a cool design on there.
Yeah, I like the look of these a lot.
So this is a rare item that requires attunement, and its abilities are as follows: it gives you advantage to sleight of hand checks while attuned. That's always good.
Cool
advantage on sleight of hand. But then the main power is that 3 times a day you can cause a memory lapse. It is a bonus action. As a bonus action, you can touch a target and they must succeed on a wisdom save. And the DC they give is 10 plus half your level, a minimum of 1. So minimum of 11.
Sure.
And if they fail the save, it says they forget everything from the round.
Huh.
It then, in parentheses, says 16 seconds. I'm not sure if that's a typo because a round is traditionally 6 seconds.
Yeah.
If it was meant to be more than a round, maybe, if it was 3 rounds, I could be 18. I don't know. I'm pretty sure this is a typo in here.
Right.
Whatever the case, so 3 times a day as a bonus action, you can cause someone to forget the last few seconds.
Sure. I really like this because, when it says rounds, you think it's like, how would this be helpful in combat? Which I'm sure there are ways that could be helpful in combat.
Sure. It requires a little bit of work, but it could happen.
But I like that it's like sleight of hand, oh shoot, it didn't work. Forget that it happened.
Oh, dang, that's really good. And it's a bonus action.
Right. So like you're
okay.
you have sleight of hand advantage, but on that on that chance that you have of still failing or then noticing, you can be like, nah, no.
That's pretty good.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't even put those two together. I was just thinking, oh, these are just cool. These are just two cool abilities.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
No, it's like you could try to steal from. You could potentially try to steal from somebody.
Yeah.
And fail like 3 times or whatever, and still get away with it.
Now, so this reminds me of maybe this is a bit of a tangent. I think I'll leave it in the episode, though. Just the other day, I got into a little bit of an argument with someone online, as I am wont to do. With the topic being somebody on Reddit, they made a joke about like, hey, the rogue in my group, finally someone actually understands what chaotic neutral is. And the example that they gave was stealing from the barmaid and then giving them that money as a tip. And my response was, I mean, that still sounds evil. You are violating someone's belongings and personal space.
And then also lying to them.
And lying to them, willfully deceiving them for personal gain. It may be very small personal gain.
Yeah, it's more just you're having a chuckle.
Yeah, like you are making yourself seem like a good tipper by stealing money from this person.
I think that's neutral. I think that's neutral evil.
I mean, whatever it is, it very much feels evil to me. It's on a very small scale,
right?
But still evil. And then it just got into this argument, like people were like, "Oh, you're not hurting anyone, therefore it's not evil." First off, oh yes, you are hurting someone.
Somebody.
She might think that she has, I don't know, however many extra copper, and then at the end of the day, she doesn't. As far as she's concerned, she just had that much stolen from her.
Right, and it's best case scenario for her, she doesn't keep a perfect tally of it normally. And so when she goes to count, she's like, oh, I made such and such copper tonight. Yeah. Not as good as I thought I did, but whatever, But
even then, is your action less evil because that person is less intelligent or skilled?
Right.
Of course not. Your actions are evil or not evil, depending on what you do and why you do it.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
whatever the case. This just made me think that because... Similarly, if you were trying to pickpocket someone for whatever reason, and then, like you were saying, it fails, oops, tap. I didn't take, hey, what's up? I just saw you.
Or you can I was trying to think of something like you could give somebody a gift.
Yeah.
Snatch it away, wait 5 seconds, wait however many seconds, and then you make them lose.
Make them think that they still have
it. Yeah,
okay.
It's like, right, or something like that, where you can basically like you do a favor for somebody, but then undo the favor, and then but make them think that you've still done that favor for them, so that they're they like you more. So
here's what you do, Jeff.
Okay,
you hand the person a piece of paper that says, "Do you like me? Yes or no?" With the two little check boxes.
Okay.
If they check no, boop, didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Right. So that you can. Oh
so you can get around the awkwardness of telling them that you like them.
Oh my God.
Let me interject here and say,
no.
I think that just about any use of this item is evil.
Well, yeah, but
I think that maybe it's a bold statement, but I think any kind of memory alteration is in and of itself evil.
Yeah, it's not great.
Maybe there could be a motivation behind it that isn't evil, but case by case basis in that
exactly,
case.
Yeah.
So,
but see, I can just imagine having these gloves like teenage me with these gloves. I'd be going around asking people questions bluntly, or I'd be more confident in talking to people.
Yeah.
So that I could be, and then if I thought oh shoot, that was really awkward. Boop, it's oh, why did I say that? Boop,
sure.
It's a little social redo button,
a little bit, just uses powerful magic.
Yeah. I could see that happening. Yes, you can only do it so many times per day, and you can only do it against one person and not an entire.
Other people in the room are going to be like, what did you just do?
What is
you
wrong
just
with
handed them a sheet of paper that says, "Do you like me? Yes or no?" And when they hit no, You took it away, and now they don't remember that. What's going on?
What's with that paper? Let me see that paper.
Right. It's psychic paper.
Yeah, psychic baker. Psychic baker?
Psychic baker. Whoa, Jeff.
Oh, man. You know what? That's going to be my next D&D character. It's going to be a psionic.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, it's not really a super complicated item, but I think there's a lot of potential. Again, I do think it kind of leans itself to an evil character.
For sure.
But hey,
like, definitely gray.
Sure.
Or darker.
Yeah.
But I see these leading to a very funny situations.
Yeah.
Or perhaps they'd be using a very key moment to get away with something. You Possibly. Absolutely have to steal the key off the guard. You have to, otherwise we're just screwed.
I could definitely see this being a plot device.
Right. It's like I got instead of having one shot at this, I have potentially 3 shots at this.
Yeah.
So, these are really cool, and they're not I wouldn't say they're super overpowered because
I don't think so.
You have to be very specific with them because 6 seconds is 6 seconds. There's not a ton you can do with it, and you could potentially use it in combat, but even that is even more complicated to get it just right. The application in combat is very limited, but I'm sure someone could find a very specific combination of spells or something like that. Yeah. It would make it way crazy powerful. But if you're doing all that work,
sure.
If you get to that point and the DM's okay, hold on a minute,
Yeah, I would be genuinely interested in how people could use this in combat.
Yeah. I might at some point if I see this picture again, I might be reminded I should try and figure out if there's a way to use this in combat.
Sure.
I'll see if I can come up with something silly, but
okay.
But I mean, other than that, I don't see them being overpowered.
Yeah.
I see that
definitely a rare item.
Definitely a rare, yeah.
But
rare sounds about right.
Yeah.
Because 3 times a day, and it's only a 6-second thing, and there's still a chance that they'll save anyway.
Sure.
I kind of really like these items. They like the picture.
Sure.
Because why not? Mind flayers are cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love the design. I think that's really cool. I think that's my favorite part of it, to be honest. I like the rest of the stuff, but I love the design.
The tentacle, the little finger tentacles.
And even the they're sort of little wraps around it, kind of even look like tentacles themselves.
Yeah. No, they're pretty cool.
All right. So that was again the Mind Mugger Mitts submitted by Debrasor on Discord. Thank you very much, Debrasor. Jeff, if anybody wanted to be like Debrasor here and wanted to submit magic items for us to discuss on the Dragon's Hoard, or questions for the main segment, or they wanted to submit a story for the funeral pyre, how would they do so?
They could send us an email at InterPartyConflict@gmail.com or join us on our Interparty Discord at bit.ly/InterPartyDiscord.
That's correct. We've gotten a lot of good discussion and stuff on there. So yeah, come on and join us. You don't have to be a patron or anything. Everybody is welcome.
Right.
All right. And then we have a giveaway today, Jeff, before we go any further. So we're giving away a copy of Chapel on the Cliffs, courtesy of Goblinstone. Chapel on the Cliffs is a low-level 5th edition adventure with some horror themes on there, some undead, possibly.
Some spooky bing bongs.
Some spooky bing bongs in there. So yeah, it's a great adventure. Goblinstone has been very generous to let us give this out to all of our, to our listeners. So Jeff, who is our winner of this great adventure this week?
Our winner this week is Kyle M.
Whoa, winner. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Yes, congratulations, Kyle M. You should be getting that in your email within the next few days. If you don't, let us know. It might be in your spam folder. They might not have sent it. Let me know, and we will get to the bottom of that.
And then, once you get it, give it a read and maybe throw up a review.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Goblinstone can always use your reviews to help make their future products better.
Yeah. I keep meaning to go and do that myself.
Jeff, you're part of the problem.
I am part of the, you know what? I've thought that all my life. So good to be confirmed.
Jeff,
no, I'm kidding. I'm not.
All right. Well, Jeff, if anybody wanted to enter this drawing, if they would like to join Kyle M in the ranks of people who have gotten this great adventure for free, how can they enter?
They can enter by emailing us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com, but you want the subject line to say Chapel on the Cliffs.
Yep, that's correct. And we are running low on people to give this to. So if you would like a copy, send us an email and you'll probably get it pretty soon. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our wonderful patrons for helping make this show happen. For anybody who's not aware, Patreon is an online platform where you can pledge to donate a certain amount of money to the content creator of your choice. In this case, hopefully us. You can go on there. We've got a few different tiers of rewards. We've got outtakes on the lowest tier.
Yep.
I wrote a bunch of fantasy fiction that is on the lowest tier as well. And I've started putting out audio versions of those. By the time this goes out, I should have a second one up. I'm doing those like every 2 or 3 months.
Cool.
So I just finished the second one and I think it's really, really good. It's one of my favorite things I've ever written.
Sure.
We've also got on the next tier up, we've got a monthly bonus podcast on there. We had an actual play that we did for October where we played the Terrible RPG.
Oh, right. Yeah.
In a ghost ship adventure. I think that went really, really well. I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, that was a good time.
And we've also got on the highest tier, we've got a monthly Roll20 game, which actually the last one had to get canceled because everybody can't. Only one person was available, and I asked him. I was like, "Hey, if you want to do something solo, we can do this." But he was like, "No, let's reschedule it if we can."
No, I felt bad because I was feeling super ill that day.
It's all right. That should be fun. We're continuing the Lamplight Sanitarium adventure. And I think I'm actually, because it's been a couple months since we played it last, I think I'm going to kind of either retcon or sort of start over some stuff.
Sure.
Because we weren't exactly on the main plot. Not that that's a problem. We
weren't really on track.
Right.
We still were having fun.
I think I could have emphasized a couple things to give you guys a clearer idea of what you could be doing.
Sure.
So I think I'm going to try to do that.
So yeah. I mean, if we got new people in there, you can describe like the first part of it to them.
Sure.
And then the rest of us will have still been in there from before or something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, we've got a monthly Roll20 game on there for our top tier patrons. And I think it's a lot of fun. I'm really excited about that. So check that out. Go to patreon.com/InterPartyConflict and take a look at the rewards. If any of them appeal to you, maybe think about donating some money and getting some cool stuff in return. And then you'll know that you helped make the show better.
Yeah.
And then just one more thing before we get to questions. Check out the other podcasts on the Crit Nation Fellowship. Crit Academy at critacademy.com is a podcast where Justin, Ian, and Brandon create new and reusable content for players and DMs alike. And then also check out Brute Force and Ignorance, which is an actual play podcast on the network. They're some great guys across the Atlantic, I believe. They're playing, some of them are in the US, some of them are in the UK.
Yeah, so it is a transatlantic
actual play podcast. Yes. So check them out. Also,
the first and only I'm kidding.
I mean, I'm sure there's probably others. I'm curious, though, if there are. And then also we've got, they're not making episodes anymore, but D&D Character Lab is a great show. Garen and Dan made characters every week and then debated whose characters were better. So check out all those. Some great podcasts we got on here.
Yep.
Let's get to some questions, Jeff.
Sure. Our first question comes from Stiltskin Kupo 84, and they ask, what are some telltale signs that you are in a rut as a DM?
Yes. And this was on Reddit. Since Jeff here neglected to mention.
Jeff. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm doing things different this time.
Because Stiltskin Kupo 84 posts a lot of stuff on Discord now. I think this was actually, we've had this for a while. This was from back when he used to.
This is vintage Kupo.
Oh, this is far from the oldest question we have on our back. We have, okay, sorry, a little tangent here. We have like 2 questions from like 2.5 years ago, from very early on in the podcast. But we got those questions right after we had already discussed that topic.
Sure.
And so I wanted to not only give it time so that we weren't just covering the same topic again, but also until we could do like a really good episode on those topics. And we still have not yet gotten to a point where I feel confident doing an episode. So anyway, we have some questions that we've had for a very long time.
And like we've brought up like questions from a long time ago before, like, you know, like we'll have answered one from like a year ago or something like that. And then the thought comes across our minds like, the person who submitted this, do they even listen to us anymore?
Yeah, I don't know. Especially from early on, like when we first started, I don't think we really had questions from our listeners for quite a while.
Right? Yeah, because you were sourcing them from from like
Reddit and Paizo and all that. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. So what are some telltale signs you are in a rut as a DM? Now, we had a question a few months ago that was like, how do you deal with DM burnout?
Sure.
And I think that is a similar idea, but different.
Okay.
I think that a rut isn't necessarily bad in and of itself. I mean, it's definitely something that should be corrected, but burnout, I think, is it's a bad sign. Burnout is like definitely something has to change.
Sure. Where like a rut, the concept of a rut is basically like you're putting a rut in the ground so you're staying the same path over and over.
You're doing the same thing. It gets harder for you to stray.
Yeah.
It's harder for you to go out of your comfort zone.
When I think of it, I think of Scrooge McDuck.
Oh goodness, yes.
His little like
his little pacing room.
Yeah, his pacing room where it was basically just this like circular. There we go. Found it. Circular rut. This little trench that he basically just paced in a circle so much that it created this little trench.
Some days he would be like, you just see the top of his head walking around in this hole, in this like pit in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he would also swim through piles of gold. He was a dragon.
Okay.
He was part dragon. He had a dragon's hoard. Scrooge McDuck is a dragon. Sorry, go on.
One could argue that it is not a dragon's hoard as it belonged to a duck.
But the duck, but he wasn't. I'm saying like he was like polymorphed. He was under a polymorph spell. He was in disguise.
Maybe that's some headcanon right there.
Scrooge McDuck was a dragon in disguise.
So, to answer the question, or to discuss the question, I don't really know if this has like a very succinct answer. So I guess to define, kind of better define what it means to be in a rut. It's really just you've kind of been doing the same things over and over again. Maybe you were resistant to maybe you were resistant to certain things for a reason. And now it's not even for a reason. You're resistant to things because that's just not what you usually do.
Right. Yeah.
And the question doesn't necessarily ask, how do you get out of a rut? But I think we can try to shed some light on that too.
Yeah.
Some signs though. I guess I would say anytime if you ever start to think, am I in a rut? Probably the first thing you should do is like look back at how you've been playing the game, how you've been running the game. And you'll probably begin to notice like, oh, these are all kind of similar. That's probably the first sign is like a lot of what you've done follows a similar format, follows a formula.
I could see like if the players, like if you're playing with the same players over and over again, they might not notice it specifically as like, oh, he's doing the same thing again, but they know instinctively to do a thing because it's happened before. So it's like,
sure,
okay, anytime, Joe the DM, anytime I see there's a hallway with 2 rats in it, he always follows it up with like an ooze or something. Yeah. Like it's just a thing that always happens. Like, oh, 2 rats, I got to look around for oozes. And it's not like, they might not know that. They might just think like, they might think instinctively. Okay. Small tangent. Yeah. Keep this in, please, because it's going to explain my mental state right now. We normally record earlier in the day, correct, at the beginning of the week, correct, like a Monday or Tuesday. Yeah, it is the end of the week.
Yeah, sorry, that's my bad.
And it is very late in the day, so my mind is a little loopy.
So Jeff's already on his weekend. Right here.
I'm ready for bed.
Yeah,
but anyway, so.
I think you know what you're saying. Not necessarily just with monsters, but like if the party comes into a room that has like a T intersection and they instinctively know that there's going to be people coming from either side, sure, because you've done it a lot. Yeah, that's a sign that maybe you're in a rut. Yeah. If the players walk in and they're like, "Oh, this room has acid. Somebody's going to grapple me and throw me in the acid," or something. Right. If there is something, if you ever notice that your games are becoming predictable, or the players seem to know what's going to happen, that could be a sign that you're in a rut, because that could just be, you're using the same kinds of encounters over and over again. Yeah. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It probably is, because I think another sign a lot of being in a rut involves enjoyment. If you notice that you are getting less enjoyment out of your game and you're not sure why, one possible reason is that maybe you're in a rut. Maybe it's because you are doing, without even thinking about it, you are doing the same things over and over again. And so you're like, oh, this isn't as fun as it usually is. Maybe it's because you're not doing anything new. Similarly, if you ever notice the players are having less fun, there's lots of reasons why players might be having less fun. But if they have less fun, or if you see symptoms of them having less fun, such as people leaving the group, like if you are having like a constant revolving door of players, it could be, for longer term players, it could be because they are familiar with all the stuff you do and it's not interesting for them. Or it could be that you're putting in less work because it is so rote for you. It is so routine for you. So it's kind of hard to see because you have to look for symptoms rather than like the actual illness.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a hard thing to answer. So I don't know. You really just you have to be aware that there might be a problem. That's the biggest thing. If you start to think, am I in a rut? You might be. So go back and look. Have you been doing a lot of the same stuff? Has your preparation been the same way?
Yeah.
Maybe you're doing different things, but you're preparing them all the same way. Like you always, I don't know, you always like have the same method. Maybe try switching up your method and see if that produces different results.
Right.
Maybe you were in a rut and didn't realize it, and you can only really find that out by changing things up and seeing how it affects you, seeing how it affects your game.
In the writing that you've done, have you ever found yourself in a rut?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I've noticed there have been times where I just didn't have the passion that I usually do, and it's because what I was writing was kind of like formulaic.
Sure.
And there hasn't always been an easy way to fix that. Sometimes I just have to power through it. And then at the end, get some advice, like get some feedback have some people read it, tell me what they think, and then go back and try to make changes to it.
Sure.
There have been times, where I was phoning it in and I was just kind of just doing it by routine. And then at the end, I had to go back and make even some substantial changes because it just wasn't unique.
Yeah. Which is, I feel like it's like feedback and stuff is a bit tougher for like adventures and stuff. Cause like there's a lot of variables with the adventures. And
there's
then also
so much can go differently depending on the group of people.
Right. That, and like, it's not like you can, workshop an adventure with the players that you're going to be playing with.
Right.
Cause like a lot of it is like, you want there to be challenge and surprise and things like that. So like, it's hard to fix it when it's happening.
Yeah.
So the best you could do is identify it after it's happened and try to fix it from happening again, I guess. Yeah. Like if you notice like, okay, like, oh, I've done this 5 adventures in a row. All right. So the 6th adventure, I'll do something different,
Sure.
like, yeah, I feel like if you're in a rut, you're in a rut. Do your best to get out of it.
Yeah.
But like, it's, I don't know. I feel it's, like, again, I haven't run that many adventures. I don't write them, and I haven't written any adventures or anything, at least nothing that's like on solid paper at this point. Yeah.
So like, I guess to try and summarize, I know we didn't really give a ton, but it's a hard thing to answer. I mean, of course it's going to be different for everybody, but if you are getting less enjoyment, if you feel like your players are getting less enjoyment, if you begin to think maybe I'm in a rut, you might be in a rut.
Yeah. Go read some more books.
Sure.
Read a few more adventures. Have people suggest, media for you to consume, so it's not something that you would think you'd like.
Yeah.
But maybe you do like it. Find forms of inspiration that you're not used to, I guess.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, just open up the book, pick a monster you've never used, build an adventure around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just go try to find something you have never done before. Try to find a way to build something around it. If it's just it's just some background thing that if you're using an adventure you've already made and you're just like, oh, I'll throw in a mind flayer, that's probably not going to change much.
Right.
But if you're like, I have to make something entirely around this mind flayer.
Right.
It's going to be quite different. And that might make you realize, oh, I have been in a rut this whole time. And doing something different has revitalized my interest in the game. You know, so, but I think the biggest part is just how much enjoyment are you getting out of the game? And if you can notice that, that amount is dwindling, or if there are signs that your players are getting less enjoyment, then you might be in a rut. Try and change things up, see what happens, you know. And heck, I guess ask your players, hey, does this feel repetitive to you guys?
Right, yeah.
You know, does this feel like it's the same as that last adventure I ran?
Yeah, it's like, is it still exciting to you? You know,
yeah.
Asking for feedback at the end of a session is like,
it's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
You may not always get it. You may not always get helpful feedback.
Right? Yeah. Some people may
try though.
You know, no notes. You know, it's like, that's not helpful. But thanks, I guess. I get like you said, like being in a rut isn't inherently bad.
Yeah.
Because maybe you guys are still having fun. Maybe the routine to you and your group is fun.
Sure.
You know, you're there to play a game and have fun together. You know, who really cares if it's more or less the same thing over and over again? Yeah. Like going back to like we've talked about Dead by Daylight or whatever before. Yeah. Like it's basically the same thing over and over again.
It really is, yeah.
But like every match is different.
Exactly.
You know, like so like you know, like the bare bones of it, like there's not a ton of variance from match to match, but like there's so many little things that can happen.
Very little variables here and there.
Exactly. And like in D&D, there's tons of variables.
Oh, absolutely. So like, you can run the same adventure for 3 different groups and have 3 completely different sessions.
Yeah. So actually with that in mind, it's like if the DM's in a rut, if the players are not also in a rut, it might not be that bad.
Sure.
If every single person is in a rut, like if the players are playing in a rut, like they keep the guy who always plays a barbarian is always playing a barbarian, or at least some form of that, you know, like, you know, this time I'm going to play a wizard, and then he takes 1 level of wizard and then 5 levels of barbarian, you know, like, you know, so like the players can be in a rut just as much as the DM can be in a rut.
Sure.
So if everybody's in a rut, then I think maybe that'll start to like take its toll.
Yeah. I just thought of, here's actually another way to tell if you're in a rut, and this is for players and DMs. If you find yourself particularly resistant to something and you don't know why.
Sure.
If one of the players says like, well, hey, can I do this thing? And your knee-jerk reaction is no, you can't. And then you realize you didn't even hear what it was they said.
Yeah.
You just immediately said no. I've done that. I've done that a lot. The players wanted to do something that I didn't explicitly prepare for. I didn't even think about how possible it was. I just immediately said no.
Yeah. Like
that's a sign you're in a rut.
Or it's a sign that you're inexperienced. In my case,
no. Sorry, I was no joke. Because
I was thinking of a similar situation where it's like somebody said something and I was like, nope, it's not in the book. Sorry, you know, like
that's it's not
different,
a definite sign that you're in a rut if you are. But I mean, it can be
right. Yeah,
if you realize you're doing it a lot, and it's even if it's with stuff you're familiar with, that could mean that you're not, because maybe that means like you are just set in the way that you've been doing it and you don't want to do it differently. Another thing is, let's say you do try something you don't usually use, but the game ends up going exactly the same anyway. Like, you've never used a mind flayer before. Yeah, you use this mind flayer, but nothing out of the ordinary happened. It was just like you used an ogre or something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because you're used to just using ogres and you're just hitting guys with a club, and then you didn't think to use their mind blast or their tentacle grapple or whatever.
They have so many, like, you know, they have all these other things at their disposal, but you're still thinking them in the terms of just okay, so they have a grapple, okay, you know, like I attack.
Yeah,
you know,
so like if you're not using things to the best of their ability, that might be because you're set in the one particular play style you were used to. And again, for DMs and players, if you're a player, if the guy who always plays a barbarian decides, you know, I'm going to play a rogue, but then the rogue ends up just using a 2-handed weapon and just running up and hitting things all the time, maybe that player's in a rut.
Sure.
And they need to do something more than just change the class. They need to actually play the class differently.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, our next question comes from the Beverage Tea on Discord, and they ask, Gabe and Jeff, at my last game, I was that guy. I managed to piss off the entire party and the dungeon master. What can I do moving forward to make things right and hopefully make this sort of thing never happen again?
Yeah, so in this case, the Beverage Tea really didn't give any specifics.
Sure.
Which makes this a bit more difficult, but also, you know, maybe we can still give some just general advice.
Right.
if you realize that you've done something at the table that really ruined the game,
yeah,
what do you do? Where do you go from there?
Honestly, it's definitely one of the tougher things for me to do personally, but it's just bring it up.
Okay.
Bring it up and like, just be like, even if it's like a week later,
yeah,
just bring it up. If, whenever you make a mistake in any situation and you've noticed that mistake, I feel like the worst thing to do is to wait till somebody else brings it up.
Sure. It's definitely going to be worse than if you had brought it up.
Yeah. It's like, do your best to bring it up. Maybe not at the moment, because there's that whole thing where it's like when you're in an argument, you don't want to you can't fix it right away because everyone's still tense.
Yeah, still got their
it's too fresh. You gotta give people time to sleep on their sleep on their emotions and feelings and stuff. So, next session, just bring it up. Be like, hey, this was kind of crappy of me. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't ruin everything for everybody. I'll try to be better, that sort of thing, so I feel like the first thing you should do is to just bring up, hey, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Cause I know a lot of people who make a lot of mistakes and never in their life will ever admit that they made a mistake.
Yeah.
Never once will they ever admit that. And those people I will never consider a friend ever. Yeah. I was like, no, this isn't a person I ever want to hang out with. Never. So I just think just the act of saying, hey, I think I screwed up.
Yeah.
It
goes very far.
It goes a long way in any situation.
Yeah. And I think in the Beverage Tea's case, a little bit of props need to be given because they've recognized,
right, exactly,
I'm the one that screwed up that session.
Yeah. He's already made step one, which is oh crap, I screwed up. That's step one, is going, oh, I screwed, is knowing that you screwed up and you're actively doing something about it.
Right. So once you recognize that you have done it, like you were saying, apologize.
Right.
You don't necessarily need to make a huge thing out of it, but at least acknowledge, I know I made a mistake. I know that it was my fault and I don't want this to happen again.
Sure.
So once that's done, that's the biggest hurdle right there. As far as trying to make stuff like this not happen again, whatever the problem was, I think in this case it might have been it's what my character would do type situation, which we've talked about in the past and probably felt justified at the time, but seeing the repercussions of that quote unquote justified action, whether something was justified or not, doesn't mean it was the best action.
Right.
Revenge might feel justified, but is it the best option?
Sure.
Maybe not. Probably not, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So, again, it's going to depend on the specifics of exactly what happened. But if you realize that I did this thing that my character did that was fitting for the character, but the rest of the players had a big problem with it, that might be a sign that your character is not a good fit for that group.
Sure.
Which means you could either make a new character, you could change that character's motivations. If you insist that you maintain the integrity of your character, you can come up with a way that your character has a change of heart. It doesn't have to just be oh yeah, my character was all about killing babies last week, but now he wants to start an orphanage. It doesn't have to be a huge, huge change. It could just be, whoa, my character just got shunned by the rest of his adventuring party. Let's take some downtime. My character is going to disappear for a few weeks and come back and make amends.
Sure.
So being able to recognize that the rest of the group has a problem with something is a big part. Once you recognize that they do it, just try to keep that in your mind. Whenever you're about to do something that you are not 100% sure the rest of the group has a problem with, or whether you're 100% sure the rest of the group is okay with, bring it up out of character. Say, hey guys, how would you feel if my character did this?
Right.
Maybe again, you want to maintain the integrity of the game. Maybe you don't necessarily maybe you want it to be a surprise or something. Maybe that's worth sacrificing if it means having a smoother game.
True.
You got to get better at reading the room. You have to be able to recognize the rest of the players might have a problem with this. as I start to dip my toe into this, let me keep an eye on their reactions. If anybody starts to be upset, pull it back. Have my character stop doing that thing. And you as the player too, if you're doing something that you begin to recognize, oh, my players look like they're getting annoyed by this, stop doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe say, okay, sorry guys, let me back up a little bit, and then downplay what you were going to do and try to go in a different direction. Or just maybe spend a few sessions maybe doing less. If you're always doing stuff and people are getting upset at all of them, all the things you do, then maybe just like have a couple sessions where you do very little, where you're in the background, where you're on the sidelines. You're trying to supplement what other people are doing instead of just trying to barrel forth with whatever you're doing. So trying to be more aware of the other players at the table, the DM. If the DM is throwing out a plot hook and your gut reaction is to kick that aside and go do something else,
right?
Maybe wait and let's see what everybody else says, and then go with one of them.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to accept that you might be a problem,
right? And
it sounds like the beverage tea already has, and again, that's a great direction. So I would say you're going in. You're already on your way to fixing this problem, but again, just ways to smooth that along. Pay attention to the other players in the DM.
Yeah.
There isn't necessarily going to be much more advice, especially without specifics.
And depending on like how, I guess, heated things got.
True.
Just saying sorry might not be enough, I guess.
Might not be enough, but it's always a good move.
Exactly. Like
if maybe bring a pizza or something.
But yeah, exactly. Well, sure. That's not the worst. That's not the worst idea. Is like, like just, like as part of your apology, be like, hey, and pizza's on me tonight.
Yeah.
That sort of like have a nice little, just a nice gesture, friendly gesture, just to say like, just to kind of like add a little extra on top there.
Sure.
Because who doesn't like pizza? Animals. No,
animals love pizza.
Animals love pizza. That's right. Who doesn't like pizza?
Vampires.
Our next question comes from Jeff on this chair that I'm sitting. Who doesn't like pizza?
Monsters.
I feel like monsters
Monsters
like pizza.
Love pizza too.
Who doesn't like the Ninja Turtles like pizza?
Yeah.
Ooh, here's another question. Our next question comes from Jeff on the same chair. Gabe, pizza or burgers?
Overall, probably pizza.
Okay.
Like burgers, I could eat a burger anytime.
Mm-hmm.
So like my overall enjoyment of a burger is probably like a 7 or an 8.
Sure.
Pizza, I don't always want a pizza, but when I do, it's a 10.
I kind of am in the opposite.
Okay.
Like, I love pizza.
Yeah.
But I love burgers. I just feel like I would rather eat 20 burgers.
Okay.
Than 20.
I'm liking the sound of this.
I would rather eat, like, if I had to eat 20 burgers or 20 slices of pizza.
Yeah.
I would want the 20 burgers.
Okay.
I'm not sure which would kill me faster, though. Well, I think
whichever one is poisoned is probably going to kill you faster.
I think it's more like because it's like pizza's mostly just dough.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, a burger has a lot of bun, but a bun is more burger buns are more airy.
Okay.
So it's not as dense as like pizza dough.
Yeah.
And like the bun itself is not greasy, whereas like pizza dough is kind of greasy.
Oh, definitely.
It's what are we doing?
We have a podcast.
Oh, we have a podcast. What's the topic? Like, what
failure? I think is the topic for today.
Today's topic is failure.
Do you want to try to quickly deal with this last one too?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, and our next question comes from John Genstone.
Our next failure-based question.
Oh gosh, no, our submitters are not failures.
No. Our submitters are not failures, but they have dealt with failures.
Sure. And this was on Discord again. How do you deal with doubts as a DM after a group completely falls out?
Yeah, so you had a group, and then possibly because one player was that guy and did something that screwed everything up.
Sure.
Possibly because you were in a rut and everybody lost interest and it all fell apart.
Yeah.
for whatever reason, your group has fallen apart, the game has ended, and you're not feeling confident in your ability to DM anymore. What do you do? I mean, the easiest answer I can give, keep at it.
Yeah, just keep at it.
Like, it's going to suck. You might need to take a little bit of time off, but ultimately come back to it.
Right. And, it's a big part of it is identifying the reason why things fell out.
Yeah.
Like, it's the rut thing. You got to take care of that. If it's the somebody was that guy and everybody just sort of like, kind of just fell apart that way. Like, you can try to get people in touch. Maybe like, say like, hey, so and so sorry about it. Do you want to give it another shot? Try to reconcile.
Like, we've over the years we have started and stopped so many campaigns. All of which we were so excited about when we started.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just happens.
Yep.
Sometimes it hurts more than others, maybe because something you put a lot of time and effort into.
Yeah.
But the worst thing you can do is give up. Because if you give up, nothing's going to get better.
Right.
You know what I mean? And maybe eventually it'll only get better when you start doing it again.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, it could be that you just need some time.
Yeah.
Could be that you just need some time. And who knows how much time that will be.
Sure. So like, don't necessarily start a new game the next week, but take some time to figure out what you want, and then eventually get back in the saddle, put the boots back on, pick up your
bootstraps,
pickaxe. I don't know what kind of person I am.
Yeah,
am drawing here.
Your pickaxe and your bread.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta keep going.
Yep.
And not just with DMing a game or whatever, with anything.
You gotta just keep swimming.
It's not, if you take some time off, if you got to take some time off, but it's not going to get better until you get back at it.
Yeah.
Good luck. I guess, we don't really have much more advice than that, again, without specifics.
We don't have a lot of good advice when it comes to failure, because we never fail.
Because all we do is fail, Jeff.
Oh, that's right.
Hopefully, I think in the discussion on the Discord, I think it was said that all the people in this group were friends, which might make it hurt more, which might make it you doubt yourself more.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's like, well, we were all friends, and even my friends don't want to play in my game.
It's like I can't even get my friends to hang out together anymore.
Right. Whatever you do, don't put all the blame on yourself.
Right.
It almost definitely was not all your fault.
Right.
Even if some of it was your fault, you are only one of 5, 6, 7 people in your group.
Like each person in the group is a whole person.
Exactly.
They have a whole person's worth of things they deal with.
Right.
It could be any number of reasons why things fell apart.
Yeah. Everybody's got their own deal. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got something going on.
Yep.
And if the group put 100% of the responsibility of keeping the game fun and exciting and keeping it going on you, that's not your fault when it doesn't work.
Sure.
It is at least 4/5 or whatever the fault of all of the people that put all of their hopes and dreams on one person.
Yeah.
Everybody's responsible for making the game fun. Mm-hmm. Everybody's responsible for showing up to the game. Everybody's responsible for keeping the game alive.
Yep.
So when it dies, it is not just your fault. It might be partially your fault. It might even be a little bit more your fault than any one other person's fault, but it is not exclusively your fault. There are other factors.
Yeah. And
regardless of whose fault it is, nothing's going to get better if you just stop playing.
Right.
Maybe you can continue to be friends with those people outside of the game, and hopefully you can maybe get another game with them in the future. But again, you have to start another game in the future to get them in your game in the future.
Yeah.
So don't beat yourself up about it. Even if it was your fault, we all make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to make up for your mistakes is to keep trying and do better next time.
Yeah.
I think that's the best advice we can give.
Yeah. Best advice to avoid failure is just keep failing.
I guess.
I don't know.
Everybody fails and fails and fails until the time they succeed.
Yeah, exactly. And like there's that everyone like you fail forward. Everyone knows that advice. That's not good advice, Jeff. Well, it's good advice, but it's not new advice.
The advice I thought you were going to give was pizza.
Pizza. Oh,
bring
pizza.
A pizza.
Well, yeah, just bring pizza.
Who
doesn't like pizza? Another question from Jeff on the chair that he sits.
This is actually another potential solution. If the group fell apart or whatever, try to get everybody together to not play D&D for a session.
Yeah.
Just have them get together.
Movie night. Pizza night.
Pizza night.
Pizza party.
Rebuild those
I must be
connections
hungry.
between rebuild those connections between the players by whatever means necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe get back into D&D after that.
Okay.
Maybe. Don't rush it, I guess. Do whatever you feel most comfortable doing. But pizza can't hurt.
Or burgers.
Unless you are allergic to the many things that are in pizza.
Yeah, I
or
mean,
burgers.
there's alternative pizzas.
They're all bad, though.
Yeah, they're really not great. I feel like we should have the technology at this point to make delicious, not allergenic pizzas.
Yeah.
Because like people with lactose intolerance, there's non-cheese cheese, and some of it's not bad.
Yeah.
There's but not all of it's melty. I think that's the problem.
Right. You expect a certain thing when you eat pizza.
We're getting off topic again.
Very much so. All right. Well, so good luck, John Gemstone. We hope that you're able to get back in the saddle and pick up your pickaxe and put your boots on.
Yep.
So yeah, good luck. Keep us updated. So that'll do it for our regular questions for today, but we do still have our social media questions. Our last social media question was, what is your favorite role to fill in an adventuring party? Do you have an answer to this question, Jeff?
I think what I said, because we brought this up before, right?
Yeah, this was when we had Damien and Caitlin on.
Yeah, I think what I said, I usually like to just try to fill the role that needs filling.
Yeah.
Being an experienced player, and like I've played, I have the sort of type of role that I usually try to stick to. Mm-hmm. The one I like to play the most is maybe like a tank.
Sure.
Sort of character, bruiser, fighter, barbarian, paladin.
Often a warforged.
Sure. Yes. Yeah, like the big defensive, I'll take the hits kind of guy.
Sure.
But if somebody else wants to play that, I'm not going to be like, oh, I wanted to play that. I'll be like, oh, cool, I could try something else.
Yeah, that frees me up to try something I haven't tried in a long time.
Exactly. So it's like, all right, I can get creative. It's like, oh, we don't really have like a charismatic type. All right, I can look into like bard or sorcerer or something. Yeah. Well, I can find a way to make whatever role needs filling fun.
Sure.
So I'm cool with whatever. Yeah. But if they were like, you have to pick first, I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna be like a half orc, fighter or something.
Sure.
Or maybe a half orc like warlock hexblade. That'd be kind of neat. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So like I'd still be trying to fill that sort of same like
niche.
It's the same role, but maybe I try to find a different way to get at it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. I think I said that I like debuff character types, like in fourth, because I'm thinking of 4th edition, of course.
Sure.
I really liked the wizard, how the wizard was a controller.
Yeah.
Where their thing was dealing with like giving debuffs, also dealing with like large groups of enemies.
Yeah, and like 4th edition stuff, they played more to the idea of roles.
Yes, very, very much so.
That was actually like that was written in the rules.
In the book, each class had an intended role and then like a secondary role.
Right. Yeah.
I like just kind of support all around. Mm-hmm. So if there isn't an explicit debuff character, a healer, a buff character, I'm down with those. It's just so much more interesting to me than a direct damage dealer, a DPS.
Yeah, pure support characters can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There was a group I played in that like it was. I'm pretty sure all of them were all of them, or at least not most of them, were all completely new players.
Okay.
Like they've never played D&D before. They knew it. They knew D&D through various media and stuff like that. But like, I was like, all right, well, everyone wants to play what they want to play. I'm going to play a purely support character to fill the role of support, just so like I can make, if I see somebody trying to do something that they're not too sure of, I can at least give them a little extra boost.
Okay.
In that or something. I feel like I'm trying to like talk myself up. Like, look how helpful I was to all these newbies.
Right.
Like white knighting myself. But no, I was just found a role that needed to be filled, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll go for it.
Sure. All right. We got a few responses on social media. So over on Facebook, Andrew H. says, I love playing the utility character. A few offensive and defensive spells are often necessary, but I love being in a situation where, the door's locked. I cast knock. Or no one understands these Kuo-toa very well, so I cast tongues. I can be very situational, but greatly appreciated. And yeah, that makes you feel so good when you have the perfect tool for that.
I feel like utility role is like it's almost like a pipe dream to me.
Okay.
It's like, because I do think of like, I really like utility spells, like things like knock and things like that. It's like, but they're like very specific situations a lot of times where they're actually useful. And it's like, but I want to be the Swiss Army knife kind of guy, but then you end up being like only helpful in very specific situations and then not helpful in most situations.
Yeah. So, if you aren't prepared for the situations that you're encountering that session, you're just useless.
Right. But if you can make the utility role, if you can own that role, I feel like that's a really fun role to play.
Yeah. Dan W says, that's actually Dan from Brute Force and Ignorance, says, honestly, I love being the role-playing lateral thinker of the group. Being a character that can talk a good game, but be ready for most situations. That's why an intelligent, charismatic druid is my jam. A tank, defense, offense, melee, ranged, crowd control, climbing, flying, water-breathing problem solver with fantastic hair. Very good. There you go. Good to keep it focused.
Yeah,
and not spread yourself too thin.
No, but that's really, I mean, druid is really good for that.
Yeah,
because like true. You can
a lot of things you can turn into an animal that does exactly that.
Right. Like, oh my goodness, you can be very combat oriented, but still like put points into like charisma and stuff.
Sure.
Because like if you're turning into stuff all the time, you don't really have to worry about your physical stats.
Yeah. Sean M says, I'll keep him busy. You do your thing. Fighting or conversation distractions, not necessarily a tank though. So
sure.
Okay. Bit of a a unique way to put that. But
yeah.
There you go. Brandon B says, combat expert is my typical role, whether it be a mace to the face or taking command of the combat. Often I'm usually filling the role of party healer or buffer. Jeremiah J says, I've been DMing so much that I've forgotten.
Oh.
Sad face. Colin W says comic relief.
Okay.
Dustin F says comic relief. Well, there you go.
Alrighty.
Laura P, who I don't think has ever replied to one of these before. Laura P says, always make sure we have a pet. So, okay, like druid or ranger or wizard with a familiar or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm down with that.
Over on Reddit, Pruno says, I prefer to support and buff the players. Throw in some twin haste or enlarge your raging barbarian or halfling, casting jump on the dwarf in full plate. I feel by granting other players weird effects, they will have more fun, resulting in more D&D, resulting in more stories and inside jokes. There you go.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. Over on Twitter, that's Carl with a K, said, I enjoy being the magic user in all its forms. If I can do secondary roles, even better. My last character, I was able to play as a blade singing wizard.
Cool.
There you go. So regardless of the role, just as long as Carl can be a magic user. Yeah, that's cool with me.
Yeah, magic user. Yeah, you do like utility stuff or just pure damage if you want.
And we got a whole bunch on Discord. I'm not going to read them all, but I will try to skim through for the best. Stiltskin Kupo 84 says comedy relief. So another one of those. In terms of function, melee tank, but usually both. John Gemstone says, I mostly play controller. Most of my groups I get to play in usually need either a controller, defender, or knowledge character. Wizards and cleric are my favorite classes, so I'm happy to fill those roles. Lone Revenant says, the conqueror of nations. On the real, though, I don't get to play except as a DM, but if I were to play right now, I'd want to rule the local nations, particularly if it was necessary to combat some greater threat and or the local nations have fallen into disrepair or are evil. So sounds kind of like more of a role-playing interest.
Right, yeah. More like, manipulating, sort of thing. Could be like an enchanter or something like that.
Sure. The Beverage Tea says, pure support by choice. At the moment, I'm playing frontliner out of necessity and honestly to stretch my familiarity with other classes.
Yeah.
But I love support characters. They are much more interesting for me to roleplay and for figuring out unique ways to help the party in combat.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's sometimes like, you want to just try a new role, just to kind of get a better idea of how those roles are played.
Sure.
It's like, I feel like I don't do like pure healing builds or anything, so it's like, like being the healer. Like I sometimes will select a class that has healing so that I can do healing.
Oh, sure.
But like the role of a healer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Jason E says, I haven't gotten to play for a long time. I'm always the DM, but I like tanks in support. And that definitely fits my memory of him.
Right. That's the same with like just online game, online adventure games and stuff, like MMOs and stuff. Like, tank and healer are vastly more fun to me than damage.
Sure.
Damage is fun, but I just like you have a thing to do, and that isn't just like, all right, I'm just going to do a bunch of damage.
Sure. Debrasor says, social and environmental manipulator. Damage? Who needs it? You win by defeating the enemy, and defeating doesn't necessarily mean death. Healing? Who needs it? You never get hit. Turn up your improv skills in real life and in-game and make the DM do the same. Bonus points if the character is evil. Okay, yeah, that works. And then just one more. Hondon85 says, the role I normally tend to play in my groups would be a leader. A lot of the time, players I play with are new to the game and are uncertain to what questions they should ask or what direction they should take. I've definitely been there before.
Sure.
And then just one thing, Stiltskin Kupo 84 replied with, Gabe asked about rolls, not rolls. My favorite roll is Pillsbury Grands, cinnamon, buttery biscuit, pretty much any variety. To which I replied, no, I was asking about rolls, D20, natural one, etc. Okay. Easy mistake to make.
What's your favorite roll?
Yep. Anyway, so that was the last social media question. The next social media question is, do you use homemade maps? If so, what is your process for making them? Jeff.
I haven't, just because the stuff that I've run has just been mostly pre-made, but like, I guess there was a couple such situations where it wasn't like, they didn't have like a, there was like an over map, but not like specific maps. So I had to kind of like just sort of draw generic shapes to, be like, okay, the building's here and you guys are over here and over here's some shrubbery or whatever, so like, I don't get too crazy with it.
Yeah. I am terrible at making maps, so I do not.
Yeah.
That's all.
I've purchased a couple like map making like software.
Yeah.
And they're kind of fun, but like I've messed around with them and had some fun with them, and I was like, design like a little inn or something.
Yeah.
But like I have never gone and used them with a idea in mind, that like for an adventure or something like that. It's like, because it's always like it's a bit daunting. It's a lot of work to actually make your own maps, and like,
especially if you want them to be good.
Right. So So yeah, not a lot of experience there, but like, I don't know. There've been like video games and stuff that have like map making tools and stuff, and I've gotten kind of creative with it. But yeah, I don't know. I've never applied it to D&D that much. So
okay, well, yeah, I'm genuinely curious as to what people say, because again, I am terrible at it. So that'll do it for our questions for today. But before we close out, we're gonna wind down a little bit. Let's relax. Let's kick back. Let's remember those who have come before us, possibly with rolls or without rolls, as we toss another log onto the funeral pyre. Our funeral pyre story for today was submitted by Collins B via Discord, and it starts out with spoilers for Acquisitions Incorporated, The Orrery of the Wanderer. I don't know what that is, so this isn't a spoiler for me, but if you are familiar with what that is, be warned, I guess. I don't know which part is a spoiler or which isn't. So,
but it would be a spoiler because you don't know what it is, so it's spoiling you to the fact that it exists.
Yeah, but it's not spoiling. I'm not... Anyway. The party of newly minted employees of Acquisitions Incorporated had arrived in Phandalin to check up on a local franchise that had missed their last monthly payment. They came upon the smoking ruin of Tressendar Manor, a site familiar to those who have played through Lost Mines of Phandelver that have been serving as the franchise's headquarters. They found one survivor in the rubble and began to explore the basement full of hidden rooms. They made a poor decision upon entering. They split up.
Uh-oh.
The party separated into 2 groups to cover more ground. A few fights against cockatrices, a gibbering mouther, and some shadows were dicey, but they handled themselves. Until Mordbran, the dwarf monk, former fantasy IKEA employee and enemy of the Tablemancers, went exploring by himself and came across 2 cells, one with 2 living commoners and the other with a dead dragonborn. He unlocked and entered the latter cell only for the corpse to reanimate into a ghast. Mordbran decided that he could solo it in a fight. He was wrong, and with the rest of the party in a fight on the other end of the dungeon, no one heard as he was knocked unconscious.
Oh, no.
Then his body feasted upon by the ghast.
Ooh.
Further exploration eventually led them to his body, where they enacted revenge upon the undead dragonborn. With the headquarters cleared out, the players signed a franchise license agreement to replace the previous group in Phandalin, and with heavy hearts, filed an employee requisition form to be sent from the head office.
Oh.
Some intern is about to get their big break, but at what cost?
Aww.
And so let's raise a glass in memory of Mordbran, who reminds us, bureaucracy always wins out. Clink. Well, that'll do it for today. To submit questions for us to discuss, items for the Dragon's Hoard, or stories for the Funeral Pyre, please email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. For show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, go to interpartyconflict.com. Join the discussion on social media. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/interpartyconflict, on Reddit at r/interpartyconflict, on our Interparty Discord, or on Twitter at InPartyConflict for our weekly social media questions. Your answers might end up on the show. Find us on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, YouTube, anywhere you download podcasts. Please rate, review, subscribe, or just tell a friend. If you'd like to support the show, check out the rewards at patreon.com/interpartyconflict. There's a few different tiers, so anything you can spare, even $1 a month, would go towards making the show better, and you'll get bonus content for it. Jeff, tell us about FriendQuest.
FriendQuest is a YouTube channel where we play video games.
Yes. Speaking of video games, check out my side project, the Arcade Memories Podcast. If you'd like to submit your own childhood memories of going to the arcade, record them or write them to me at arcadememoriespodcast@gmail.com. Also, head over to bit.ly/interpartyconflict to take a short survey about our show. What you like, what you don't like, etc. And just for taking it, you'll get 2 free printable board games, courtesy of Mary and Tom over at hollandspiel.com. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hacker's RPG. So, Jeff, until next time...
Happy birthday, Gabe!
Thank you.